Okay. I guess the long and short of it is, sadly, that I took Daryl to my mom's about a week ago or something like that. I don't even know how long it's been now. And because he said he wanted to meet my mom, and I was, hoping that Jim could tell us that he had some mowers that needed worked on, because I was going to have Jim teach Daryl the skill, because when I mentioned it to Daryl and it was a way to make money, he said, sure. So it's not like I didn't tell Mom and Jim that I wasn't bringing him. I just didn't specify a day, because I didn't know when I was going to catch him at like the right time of day or whatever. And because he does odd jobs mostly around here, with friends and like mowing grass for people in the neighborhood and stuff here. And small tasks, and he gets paid for it, which is a good thing because it keeps him going, a little bit here and there. But what I don't understand, and never will, is his parents are loaded. I mean, they've got crap tons of money, and he won't even let them help him. He said his father pretty much turned him against wanting to have any kind of significant money, because he said it seems to make his dad miserable. Well, that doesn't mean that it would make Daryl miserable. If he could learn to manage his money proper, then it wouldn't be a big deal. So what ended up happening was everything was fine. Me and Daryl got over there. Mom and Jim were still out running around. So it was probably Wednesday. On a Wednesday, it was a payday for Jim. So, we knew it was a toss-up if we was going to be able to get in or not. And, so I went ahead and used the hide key and let us in. And, he liked looking at my mom's birds and stuff, but she usually keeps them in her bedroom. So whenever he would want to see the birds or whatever, I'd go in with him. So he's not there, in there by himself. And somehow along the way, it got screwed up with my brother and my mom. They got Daryl and Robert confused, thought Daryl was black, and he's not. You guys, if you saw the 7-hour live stream I did where he was on, and he's not near as volatile to me as Robert, But I mean, Robert was usually pretty cool, when I would see him. Most of the time when I'd see him, I'd be down at, Norma's hanging out and stuff. And not Daryl, Robert would come in and he'd be smoking and shit. So, and the thing that always made me uncomfortable was he doesn't smoke straight pot. No, he's got to lace it with crack or meth. It's one of the two. And so me and Daryl was, just kind of waiting for Mom and Jim to get there. And then when they finally showed up, my mom was crying. Her face was beet red. She barely could get up the 2 steps into the kitchen to get into the rest of the house. And as soon as the door opened and I heard her whimpering, I went to see what was wrong. And it was her own fault, because she a lot of times will get very insistent upon going with Jim when he's out and about doing errands and, kind of like check day like we do. And he doesn't stop to think, and neither does Mom, that, there may be some of it or all of it. She ends up sitting out in a hot ass car, and God only knows how long he could be. And so Carl kept calling and said, "Are they there yet?" I said, "No." He said, "Well, they said that they were a couple blocks away." Okay, so we kept waiting. Everything was cool. Daryl loved the couch, chair, and love seat, because he said that was exactly, his parents had the same kind of furniture a long time ago when he was a kid, and that's what he grew up with. And I said, "Well, believe it or not, Mom got all 3 of these pieces for $16 at a thrift store." He said, "What?" And I said, "Yep." And he said, "Would you take pictures of them for me so I can send it, and then send it to my phone so I can send it to my mom and dad?" I said, "Sure." And he also let me take a picture of him. So, and it's literally on my phone. It's the only picture I have of Daryl. So, Carl got upset because he thought that I had taken a black man over there, in which case, if it would have been a black man, it would have been Robert, and I would never do that, because the man can't keep his hand off of his junk. and I'm talking between his legs, and I'm tired of seeing it. So a lot of times if he's down visiting with Norma or whatever, I won't even go in because I don't want to see the shit. And Norma don't like him doing it either, but she just chooses to ignore him like, nothing's going on. And I don't like him smoking, crack-laced pot around me. So, but I can't say anything. It's Norma's place. So she would have to be the one to say, look, if you're going to hang out here, Robert, don't be smoking crack infused pot, because I don't want the shit around me. And it makes Janet uncomfortable. So, but Norma's never done that. So, me and Daryl smoked one J, that he rolled with a blunt, wrap. They call them wraps. And you get, a lot of times you'll get 2 in a pack. If you buy a 2-pack, or you'll get 1 in a pack, and it's an empty shell and it's wrapped around a straw. And they wrap it around a straw so it gives it form. So then you take the straw out, throw it away, whatever, and then you use the paper to roll it. Well, he would always tear his papers in half, so he would always do pin joints. And I was like, okay, fine. And he would always let me have his roaches, because he doesn't really want to be bothered with them, and he don't have any grinder to grind them up or anything of that nature. I do. I've got several. So I appreciated that he was giving me roaches, and I would fill them up in my little jar here. And then when I got a decent amount, enough of them, I would get out my grinder, one of my grinders, and I would grind them, papers and all, into something that I could re-smoke. And that way, it's recycling. And, let's face it, depending on who your source is, pot can be expensive. So everything was fine. We smoked on the side porch. Daryl sat in the swing. I sat on the plastic chair that was out there, and everything was cool. And then, at some point, we went out on the front porch, because that's the porch that I like to smoke on, because it's smaller and it literally pretty much never gets used by Jim or Mom. And there's 2 chairs out there you can sit in, and there's a little table. So, I'm like, okay, well, that's just kind of my little, I call it my little pot porch. Anyway, so we were sitting out there, and Daryl was getting ready to roll the other J for us, but he couldn't find his smoke. He tends to put it in like a part of an envelope or whatever, and then he folds it over and everything, and he sticks it in his pocket, or he sticks it in his bag or whatever. Well, he decided to go in and roll the J, the first one, the only one we smoked, in the bathroom, because he said he would be sitting down, he would be more relaxed. And I was like, okay, no problem. So I was like, okay, sure. So he did that, and the dumbass threw his fucking shit in the trash. He was so drunk and high before we even got there that he didn't even realize. And he said he looked in the bathroom, he looked everywhere, and he had he didn't even look in the trash can, or when he did, for some reason, he just didn't see the very thing he was looking for, which I ended up finding later that day after he stormed off, called me a fake friend, called me a handful of minutes later and said some very hurtful things. And I said, that's it. I'm done. 3 strikes, you're out. Because he got upset with me and lashed out at me a couple other times, but those were through text messages, because something didn't go the way he wanted. And, even though I tried to explain to him, like one of the times we were supposed to smoke at 12 noon one day. Well, Norma came up and said, hey, can we go to the mall? I want to get some stuff. I said, okay, sure, no problem. Looked up the clock, said, yeah, we should be able to get over there and get back in time and everything. Well, no, by the time we finally did get there, it was already after 12. So I texted Daryl and I said, could we smoke later? I said, because me and Norma are out and about and I don't know how long we're going to be. So he comes back with, no, I'm going to go to Ron's and blah, blah, blah. You should have said something. I can't stand it when somebody does that. Like he's being all pissy at me, because even though I tried to let him know why I wasn't there, and, I was trying to say, could we do it another time? And he got pissed off about it. And then there was another incident where he had texted me or something, and it was just very hurtful. And, he had overreacted to something I said, or took something the wrong way, or whatever the hell it was. And I said, that's it. 3 strikes, you're out. So a couple days ago, I was laying down for a nap, and Chris said that he did come and knock on the door, and he said he wanted to make up. I have not gone down, and I have not, unblocked him on my phone. He hasn't come up here anymore, and I hope it stays that way because he's just too volatile. He's too easy to trigger. And I mean, most of the time when we're hanging out, we would be fine. But that day, he went too far, and he had me crying, and he really deeply hurt me. And I said, you know what? I said, that's it. I'm done. So I hung up. I gave him his shit back. After I found it, I put it in a baggie, still wrapped in the little envelope piece that he had it wrapped in. And I showed Mom. I said, this is what he's bitching about. He accused me of stealing it, you might as well say. And, I was like, that's it. I'm done. So I hope that he takes the hint, and the fact that I haven't went down there, I haven't talked to him, I haven't knocked on his door, I haven't unblocked his number, because he's actually got two. And, we text back and forth, sometimes on one, sometimes on the other one. And he would be like, hey, if you want to smoke, come on down. Or if I didn't feel like going down there, because his place is usually hot as hell, unless he turns the fan on me, which he would do a lot of times, because it would just get too uncomfortable. I always had to sit on the floor. That would make my legs go to sleep. It became increasingly uncomfortable. I couldn't sit on the buckets that he had turned upside down. He had two of them, and that's basically his seat. That's what he sits on. So the man can't even let his parents get him a futon that he could pull out at night and use as a bed, and then during the day use it as at least something to sit on, something halfway comfortable. And I shouldn't have to go out and get one of my chairs out of the trunk every time I go down there to smoke with him, and then, have to turn around, drag it right back out there, put it back in the trunk and, stuff. It's just too much of a hassle. And I'm not about to leave it in his place. Hell no. So, because that belongs to us. If I was going to do something like that, I would have bought one of the cheaper ones or something you can get for a couple bucks at like Big Lots even, or somewhere like that. And then I would leave that there, and I would have had him put it in his front room closet, and tell him, say, now this is my chair. If you want to sit in it, okay, but be careful. You cannot flop down in these chairs, because his body weight is a lot more significant than mine, because he's got tallness where I have more chubbiness, and he's got a little bit of a gut on him too, and man boobs, or moobs as my daughter called them. But I just thought to myself, this is just so not worth it. It's not worth the me constantly getting hurt, because I never know what's going to set him off next, and I would try not to set him off. But when you don't know somebody's triggers and then you accidentally trigger them, then it just becomes a shit mess that I don't want nothing to do with. So I've thought about, maybe taking a note and writing it and taping it on the outside, door, or taping it near the door, but tape it at a height that he could see it, what would be eye level for him, and say, look, Daryl, not this time. It's like, I can't risk you, lashing out at me again over something that was your fault, not mine. Making false statements like, I made you leave. I did not. You chose to leave because you were pissed off, because you thought that I had fucking stolen your fucking weed. And I even looked in the house myself a couple times. So after he left, I went into the bathroom, and something told me, wait a minute, he was rolling it in the bathroom. I'm going to go look. Went in, looked in the trash can. There it was. Picked up the envelope, looked, sure enough. And I was like, So I came back here, I gave it to him, and I was crying, and I did that on purpose because I wanted him to know, just how badly he had hurt me, and, and what he said to me, like, I don't want nothing to do with you. Don't ever call me again. Goodbye. And then just, I don't need the shit. And then because of the mix up with Robert and Daryl and the confusion, my brother got pissed off at me. So I blocked him for a while, for about a week or so or whatever, because I didn't need his negative shit either. And I didn't want to take the risk that I was, if I called him or whatever, unblocked him, that he'd be like, what the fuck is wrong now? Why are you pissed at me now? And I'd be like, wait a minute, I thought it was the other way around. So when we finally did talk it out, what made me call him was Mom said that he was talking about, I just called to say goodbye. And that made me think, oh shit, he's suicidal. I better at least try to talk to him and say, what's going on, and talk him out of it, because he's done that for me before. And, call the suicide hotline or something is one of the messages I sent to him. And I wasn't trying to be mean or be a bitch or anything. I was genuinely concerned. So when he answered, I said, hey, I said, what's going on? And he told me and blah, blah, blah. And he said, well, I thought you had turned against me. I said, no, not really. I said, it's just my process. When somebody does a hurt on me, like he tends to do too, a lot of times over stupid shit, I just need a few days. It could take me as long as a week because I get deeply hurt because of my deep sensitivity. A lot of people find it an annoyance, I'm sure, but I can't help it. I'm just being me. I'm not, I don't like being that way. I try to catch myself when I get that way, but when I get hurt, it's deep. So that's just something I've struggled with all my life. And I wanted to do a little bit of an update of sorts too, because, since the Maybon on the 21st, I hadn't done a live stream or anything. And I thought, why not? Let's go ahead. So because tomorrow is going to be check day. So we're going to be out running. We're going to be out doing different things and whatever. And depending on how long everything takes us that we do go out to do, knowing Norma, she's going to want to tag along. I mean, sometimes I don't mind it, but other times I would rather not have her around because I can only handle her so much. And then I get irritated with her and I just need a break. Like she called me today when I was over at Mom's and said, hey, blah, 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 this will make you laugh. And talking about rainbow cat litter. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, Norma, you could have told me that the next time you saw me. Why did you feel that it was enough of a reason to literally call me on the phone when I'm over at my mom's, I'm trying to clean. I can't give you the attention that you're wanting me to give you because I got to get my cleaning done, so I can get paid. And usually that only consists of, sweeping all the downstairs rooms minus the laundry room. And then, I cook meals for her. I sit there and spend time with her. I do her toenails when they need it, and a lot of times she's just happy for the company, especially on a weekend, which this weekend I'm not going to be available because we're going to Renfest Saturday. I texted a message to my friend Christy, but she might still be at work. So I'll have to check it later and see if she answered me, or I can check it now. Because sometimes, if she's really busy at work, I don't want to disturb that. So I'll text her before I'll call her because I don't want to get her in trouble. And it didn't go. It didn't go through. And see, I'm having phone issues. Some of my messages aren't going through. See if this one does. Because it's a Thursday, so more than likely she probably is working. Lay down. You buggy me. You buggy me. Lay down. Of course, Kalika's got to be on my lap as soon as I walk in the door. So I just texted her and said, are you at work? If she don't answer this time, I'll just try to maybe call her or something later about 9 o'clock or so and see if she's home yet. Or if I happen to hear the door shut downstairs, I might take a chance, walk down to her place and kind of listen, see if I hear what sounds like her in there moving around or, talking or something to her cats. And then I'll knock on the door and say, hey, you got a minute, and find out, is she still going Saturday, or did she even remember that we're going this Saturday? And she got the time off from work so she wouldn't get in trouble. And, they can't turn around and say, well, you should have called us sooner. And, so I don't want to get her in trouble. So I don't know. And if I already did a live stream about this, I apologize because I may have forgotten, because it's literally taken me this long to really get over what Daryl did, and also the reasoning behind why I don't want to make up, because I have no guarantee that he's not going to fucking lash out at me again for some stupid ass fucking reason. And I just don't need the shit. So tomorrow's going to be busy. We're going to Ren Fair Saturday. If I could maybe I'll get some video footage on my phone. I don't know. I cleared a lot of photos and stuff, and a couple of videos out of my phone because I had used up a lot of my storage through Google, and so I just cleared out a bunch of them, and to give myself more room so that I can maybe do a little video or something. But I'm not going to know until we get there what kind of even signal I'm going to be able to get on my phone, if at all. And if not, then there's no way I'll be able to videotape it unless I get my batteries on my Canon charged up before Saturday, and then make sure I put my camera in my purse and its little bag, and then, put my Canon battery in and first, and then once it dies down or whatever, then I'll turn around and I'll put my other one in. But I'm down to 2 batteries. I had 3, and I've been meaning to have Chris to tell me how to punch it into the search engine so I can get me a couple more, because, the battery's like really small. It's like a little tiny square, thing. And I have a battery charger exclusively for my Canon battery. And I have the charger that goes to the generic battery that came with it because I got 2 batteries. So I definitely want to get me a couple more batteries, because my Canon, it only allows 30 minutes of footage and it'll shut itself down, because otherwise I think it overheats. I might have to do that a couple of times. And like I said, a lot of it's going to depend on how, like if the Canon, if I do the video and it seems like it's doing okay, I'll play it back, some of it, and say, okay, it looks like it's all right. Because the thing about doing videos, you got to walk kind of slow, because otherwise you're going to see movement and it's going to look like crap. So you have to walk kind of slow, or you have to just stand in a spot and then just kind of slowly pan around the area you're in and say, this is some of the booths they have. This is how many people are here, yada, yada, and on and on. So, I hope everybody's doing okay. I'm better now. I've pretty much healed, I guess, to the best of my ability from the whole Daryl situation, but I'm just not going to risk it happening again. So there ain't no making up that's going to happen. I got better things to do with my time than to have a Jekyll and Hyde on my hands. So, 1 minute they're cool, and the next minute, they're biting your fucking head off for something stupid because you've accidentally triggered them and you didn't know that, didn't mean to trigger them, but you do. So Alicia, she's going to leave the tickets at the gate for us. I never did get a chance to ask her if she was able to get only 2 tickets or if she was able to get 4. Because if she was able to get 4, then me, Norma, Chris, and Christy, if Christy's even still going, we would all be able to get in for free. And that's a savings right there. Because it's like in the $30 range now to get in the gate. Of course, they have like discount tickets you can get from like certain stores, or you can go online and you can get them if you know where to look, kind of thing. But since our daughter works there, she has the perks of getting free tickets, and at least it'll be once this year we get to go, because they're going to be there until the 29th of October this time. And so like 2 days before Halloween, literally, they're going to be closing. And, it's only Saturday and Sunday for any of you that may not know. But it's a lot of fun, even if you only do it once. Because, granted, it's not for everybody. And sometimes you'll catch people there in costume. Other times you won't. And I'm talking patrons off the street like myself. Some people will dress like characters from movies they like, from shows they like, or whatever. And it's all part of the fun. And when you go to some place like the Ohio Renaissance Festival, there's no rule against, oh, you can't do that. They welcome it because it makes it more fun for the people that are attending. Now, the characters, which I call the field characters, they're the ones like the pirates and the wenches, and like there's different like outdoor performers that will do like a little comedic comedy kind of thing, or they'll play music or something of that nature. There's a lot to do, and if you walk in there and can't find something to your liking, well, that's fine. Just don't go again. But at least you went once, so that if you have a conversation later with friends and family, they'll be, oh yeah, I went. You can tell them you went, and this is what you thought of it, or whatever. But Carl, he said, I don't know if I'd like going to the Ohio Renaissance Festival or not, because I don't want to see people walking around in costume pretending they're Wonder Woman or something. And it's like, well, then he doesn't have the true spirit of the Renaissance Festival. Me with the clothes and stuff that I have, there's many ways that I could dress my own self up. And I could walk in as a belly dancer. I could walk in as a gypsy. I could walk in as just a witch, or gothic or whatever. But the thing about dressing gothically, depending on the colors, if you do the standard red, white, and black, you're going to be sweating your ass off. And then it's going to, at least for me, it would get uncomfortable very quickly, because the dark, the black from the material I would be wearing, the sun would be drawn to like a magnet. And I don't want to overheat and pass out from heat exhaustion or something and scare the crap out of people, including myself, because I've suffered heat exhaustion a couple times years ago, and when I worked at the Ohio State Fair, and I said never again. So I haven't worked the fair since then, because I have a lot of not so good memories of that time, and especially the person that I was dating at the time. And yeah, there was good points, but there was equally bad points. So, but at least I can say, yeah, I worked the Ohio State Fair one year. It was okay, I guess, but I would have done much better if I would have worked someplace that was sheltered from the elements, because I worked in what they call kiddie land, that had all the kid rides, and there was no umbrella for me to stand under to get a break from the hot blazing sun. It's just constantly beating down on me. I ran out of stuff to drink. I had no way to contact any of my people that I worked for to say, hey, could somebody bring me some Gatorade or some water, or could somebody take over for me for a while so I can get out of the elements for a little bit? Otherwise, I'm going to end up passing out, and nobody came to my help and my aid. And I kept telling people, this is the last ride, folks. And I was getting so weak that I was like down to a whisper. And finally, one of the patrons noticed, and he said, are you all right? And I said, I don't think so. And down I went. So yeah, I know all about heat exhaustion. I don't ever want to go through that again. So, at least at Ren Fair, there are places you can go. There are booths you can step into that, you can at least get out of the elements a little bit. There's shade trees you can sit under, and stuff like that. I don't think they have any misting stations there yet, but I know they do that at the Ohio State Fair, because you're also out walking around, and there's a lot of stuff outside to see and do, as well as going inside the buildings and, different things like that, to where, if you're lucky, depending on the building you go in, they've got air on. They would have to, because there's wall-to-wall bodies. It would be miserable for too many people, and people would be passing out left and right, because then you're in a building and you don't have any airflow. Yeah, not a good thing. So, but this was just kind of like a brief little catch-up thing I wanted to do, because I don't remember if I probably have already mentioned about the whole Daryl fiasco, but at least this way I know it's like, okay, yeah, I did do it that time. I haven't even watched the live stream since that night, because that was literally like the last time Daryl was here and sitting here on the couch, as you see in the live stream. And I finally turned the camera to where he was like, yeah, cool, and he was okay with it. And I still can't bring myself to watch it, because I'm afraid I'll start crying again, or it'll make me sad, or something like that. And as always, I still feel this way and always will. I don't mean the guy any ill will. I wish he would get his life together and stop the drinking and smoking, because it's going to be his ruin, and it already has. He missed both of his VA appointments that he was going to go to try and get dried out. He didn't go to either one. And it's like, sorry, dude, but I can't. 3 strikes, you're out. I can't do this anymore. You hurt me too badly the last time, and I don't want to put up with it, keep putting up with it, and you can't expect me to keep putting up with it because you're lashing out at me for what I think is no reason and making false accusations against me that are unfair and untrue. Like, he said that I made him walk home. No, I didn't. He chose to leave, and I know why, because he was pissed off because he couldn't find his fucking weed. So he lashes out at me after he gets about the middle of the Kroger, and it's like, whatever. So that's that, and moving on, But anyway, I'm not going to stay on here any longer. I just wanted to say hey to everybody and hope everybody's okay, doing good, and blessed be. Love you guys. See you next live.